I don't think you really know your sister. Those words stayed in my mind long after. The stranger disappeared into the crowd. It happened on a cold, rainy Thursday evening. I had just left the grocery store when an older woman suddenly stopped me near the parking lot. She stared at me for a few uncomfortable seconds before speaking quietly. "You're Emily Carter's sister, right?" I nodded slowly, confused. The woman hesitated before saying, "Then maybe you should ask her where she goes every Friday night." Before I could respond, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the rain. At first, I thought she had mistaken me for someone else. My sister Emily was the most responsible person I knew. She worked as a nurse at a children's hospital in Chicago, paid every bill on time, called our mother every evening, and never forgot birthdays or holidays. She was calm, organized, and dependable in every possible way. Unlike me, at 24, I was still struggling to finish college while working part-time at a bookstore. Emily had always been the successful one in our family. That was why the stranger's words bothered me so much. The next morning, I casually brought it up while we were drinking coffee in our apartment kitchen. "Some random woman basically accused you of having a secret life," I joked. For half a second, Emily froze. It was small, almost impossible to notice, but I noticed it. "What woman?" she asked carefully. I explained what had happened, expecting her to laugh it off. Instead, she quietly turned back to washing dishes. "People are strange," she said softly. That was it. No smile, no joke, no explanation. And suddenly, something felt wrong. Over the next few days, I began noticing things I had ignored before. Emily guarded her phone more carefully. She stepped outside whenever she answered calls, and some mornings she looked emotionally, drained even after, supposedly spending the night at home. Then Friday finally came. Around 7 in the evening, Emily grabbed her coat and keys. "You working tonight?" I asked casually. "Double shift," she replied quickly. But her voice sounded rehearsed. After she left, I sat on the couch staring at the television without actually watching it. The stranger's warning kept replaying in my head. Finally, against my better judgment, I grabbed my jacket and followed her. I still feel guilty about it. Emily drove across the city, far away from the hospital. My heart pounded harder with every turn she made. Why would she lie? Eventually, she parked near a small building beside an old church. It definitely wasn't a hospital. It looked more like a shelter. I watched her carry 2 large bags from her trunk before disappearing inside. For several minutes, I stayed frozen in my car. Part of me wanted to leave, but curiosity won. I quietly walked closer and peeked through one of the windows. Inside, I saw something completely unexpected. Emily was surrounded by children. Some were coloring pictures while others sat around folding tables eating sandwiches. One little girl hugged Emily tightly around the waist, and Emily kissed the top of her head with such warmth that it nearly broke my heart. For the first time in years, my sister looked genuinely happy. A man near the entrance suddenly noticed me standing outside. "Can I help you?" he asked kindly. I jumped nervously. "I'm Emily's sister." His face immediately softened. "Oh, you must be Claire. Emily talks about you all the time." Before I could respond, Emily turned around. The second she saw me, all the color disappeared from her face. "Claire?" she whispered. I expected anger. Instead, she looked terrified. "What are you doing here?" "I followed you." The room suddenly felt silent. A few children glanced up curiously as Emily gently took my arm. "Come outside," she said quietly. Rain drizzled softly as we stood beneath the church awning. "You lied to me," I said. Emily crossed her arms tightly. "I know. What is this place?" She looked away for a moment before answering. "It's a temporary shelter for homeless families." I blinked in surprise. "You volunteer here?" She nodded slowly. "Every Friday night. Sometimes weekends too." I stared at her, confused. "That's your secret life?" A sad smile crossed her face. "Part of it." Something in her voice made my stomach twist. "What does that mean?" Emily hesitated and suddenly tears filled her eyes. In that moment, I realized my strong, perfect sister was falling apart right in front of me. "There's something I never told you," she whispered. I had never seen Emily cry before, not even when our father died, not even when Mom was sick years ago. But that night, tears rolled silently down her face while rain fell around us. "When I was 19, she said shakily, "I got pregnant." I froze. "Nobody knew," she continued quietly. "Not Mom, not Dad, not even you." My chest tightened painfully. As memories rushed back, Emily had suddenly taken a semester off during nursing school and claimed it was because of stress. I gave birth to a baby boy, she whispered. I could barely breathe. And then? Her voice cracked. I gave him up for adoption. For a moment, the world felt completely still. Rain tapped softly against the roof above us while I stared at my sister like I didn't know her anymore. I thought I was doing the right thing, she said through tears. I had no money, no support, and the father disappeared. As soon as he found out, the pain in her voice was unbearable. But after Dad died, I couldn't stop thinking about my son. I kept wondering where he was and whether he hated me. Tears filled my own eyes now. So the shelter. Emily nodded. I started volunteering because I couldn't stop thinking about children who feel abandoned. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I quietly asked the question burning inside me. Did you ever find him? Emily looked down at the wet pavement before whispering, yes. My heart skipped. I found him 2 years ago. I stared at her in shock. You found your son? She nodded slowly. He lives here in Chicago. I struggled to process everything. Does he know who you are? Another long silence passed before Emily whispered, yes. I felt dizzy. You've been seeing him? Every week. Suddenly everything made sense. The secret phone calls, the Friday nights, the exhaustion in her eyes. His adoptive parents are wonderful people, she explained softly. They agreed to let me slowly become part of his life. How old is he now? I asked quietly. 10, my throat tightened. Where is he? Emily looked through the shelter window toward a small boy sitting alone with crayons. He had dark brown hair, serious eyes, and something about him instantly reminded me of our father. That's him, she whispered. I couldn't speak. As if he sensed us watching, the boy looked up through the window. Then he smiled and waved excitedly at me. Emily laughed softly through tears. He knows you're his aunt. My heart shattered completely. I walked inside slowly while the boy stood nervously from his chair. This is Noah, Emily said quietly. He stepped closer and gave me a shy smile. Hi. His voice was so small and innocent that it nearly broke me. Suddenly, I thought about all the birthdays Emily had missed, all the nights she must have cried alone, and all the guilt she had carried for 10 years in silence. Hi, Noah, I whispered. Then, without warning, he hugged me, like he already trusted me. I closed my eyes tightly, trying not to cry. That night changed our family forever. Eventually, Emily told our mother the truth. It was painful at first. There were tears, confusion, heartbreak, and years of buried emotions. But there was also forgiveness and love. A lot of love. Now Noah visits every Sunday. Mom bakes him chocolate chip cookies while pretending not to spoil him too much. Emily smiles more than she used to. And for the first time in years, our family feels whole again. Sometimes I still think about that stranger in the parking lot. Maybe she meant to warn me. Or maybe she simply knew the truth deserved to be found. Because my sister really did have a secret life. But it wasn't filled with betrayal or lies the way I imagined. It was a life shaped by guilt, hidden love, second chances, and the hope that even broken families can heal. And honestly, finding her secret may have been the best thing that ever happened to us. Every family has untold stories. Sometimes the truth hurts at first, but it can also bring healing, understanding, and a new beginning. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional and inspiring stories about family, love, sacrifice, and second chances. If you discovered a secret like Claire did, would you have followed your sister to find the truth? Let us know in the comments below.